Did everybody hear that?
Like a machine gun.
Time for our meeting, Plan Commission meeting, and we have our agenda in front of me. This is the Merrillville Plan Commission meeting, Tuesday, April 19th, 2022, approximately 6:33 p.m. Okay, we will all stand and give a pledge of allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Secretary, would you please take the roll call vote?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Rich? Here. Mr. Holtz? Mr. Mellon? Here. Mr. Pettit? Here. I am here. Mr. Deering? Here. Madam President?
I'm here,
We have a
thank you.
quorum.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of February 15th, 2022?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Minutes of February 15, 2022 has been approved.
No, we need a vote.
Oh, we need a vote on that?
We need a voice vote, yeah.
How come? I thought it was okay.
Because we're approving minutes.
Just
All right. Please take a voice vote, Mr. Secretary.
Sure. Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Mellon?
Yay.
Mr. Pettit? Yes. I am a yes. Mr. Deering?
Yes.
Madam President?
Yes.
5 yeses. 6 yeses.
Okay, now our minutes are completely approved, correct?
Very nice.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any communications whatsoever from any board member? Thank you, none from me. Any comments from me? No. I will go on with old business. Item 1, P15PP2-0921, Jarper Properties LLC petitioner and owner. Located at US 30 and Morton Street, request preliminary planned unit development approval on 17.18 acres in an R2 residential zoning district. The purpose, residential planned unit development. Thank you. Are you going to speak at the little podium there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
And please state your name and address.
Good evening, members of the Plan Commission. My name is Adam McAlpine. I'm with McAlpine Consulting, and my address is 398 East, 400 North, Valparaiso, Indiana. So I'm here tonight, hopefully to gain a favorable approval for the development. 2 weeks ago, we held a workshop, and I don't want to repeat everything that I said previously, but I'm here on behalf of Anthony Perino. With me tonight also is Ken Peach, and they've worked together on multiple projects in the past. And what you have here before you tonight, again, are 52 total units. They're paired patio homes. And as you recall, at the last Plan Commission meeting, there was a great deal of discussion about parking and the need to provide additional guest parking spaces. And so what we have done in response to your concern is add 2 additional parking spaces at the north cul-de-sac and 2 additional at the southern central cul-de-sac. The eastern cul-de-sac remains the same. Now, as you recall, these are private cul-de-sacs, and the public roadway will be the main thoroughfare and western cul-de-sac at the western terminating point. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have or provide additional explanation on the project.
Very good. Okay, we will go to the board and see, well, wait, how about a staff report, Sheila?
Petitioner is requesting a preliminary plan unit development in an R2 residential zoning district on 17.18 acres to be known as August Manor. Petitioner is proposing 52 units. Development will have sewers, curbs, and gutters, streets, and common water, stormwater sewer, and street lights. Surface water will be discharged along existing channels with subdivision retention. Petitioner has had several meetings with staff, town engineer, and the stormwater director to address the comments and complete the review. The open space ordinance has been met. The development has received sewer availability. The parking plans have been revised to include additional parking spaces at the northern and southern cul-de-sac, total 4 added spaces. Petitioner will adhere to all town codes and ordinances.
Thank you. Any questions or comments, Mr. Rich?
No.
Oh, and let the record show that Rick Holtz has shown up for the meeting.
Madam Chairman, may I
questions?
ask a question of staff right now?
Pardon?
May I ask a question of staff right now?
Sure.
Sheila
Yes.
and Bob, in your opinion, are the parking spaces allocated right now, do they meet the minimum requirements under our ordinances?
I have reviewed them, and it appears that they have met their minimum requirements.
They have met the minimum
Okay,
requirements.
great, thank you.
Well, we're going to have some questions on that. Okay,
Well,
coming from Brian.
Well, not just me.
Oh, okay. I thought you told me you were concerned.
Well, I've got many concerns.
Okay, very good. Rick, any questions or comments?
No, I know I thought I had asked if he could get 8 spaces on that northern spot instead of just the 6. At least that was my original request, so other than that, I don't know why he didn't also put another 2 on that southeast one. When he
You're
got the-
talking about spaces for parking?
Yeah, I mean, he's got the space to put the parking there, so. Okay, other than the parking are the biggest concerns, that's all.
Well, what do you think about that, Robert? Did you check out the parking spaces?
Yeah, as I had stated, I looked at the ordinances, and those items have been met. In addition to that, from the engineering aspect of things, all the items, any outstanding items that we had previously have been addressed.
Okay, thank you.
So we have,
Brian Daring.
No.
Oh, Chris? No, I thought I asked him.
I have nothing at this time.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Brian Daring? I know you have some concerns
Well-
on the parking.
Well, no. It has nothing to do with just the parking, Madam Chairman.
Okay,
I spent my 3rd hour in the last 2 weeks over there from 5 to 6 tonight. I'm just not convinced on this entire design. I walked the whole thing off. I took a measure wheel over there and got every inch measured out. I walked back to the survey markers in the woods. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work for me. Just plain and simple. This is a PUD. You ask for relief from us, we give it in whatever areas, we deem necessary and appropriate. This isn't a by the ordinance complete subdivision. Okay, it's a PUD. We vary things on the subdivision ordinances. We can ask for more parking. You can ask for less setback. It's a give and take procedure. This time when I was out there today, I drove up north into Foxmore again, and I got plenty of pictures, if you want to see them, of people with no cars in the driveway, parked on the street, 2 and 3 cars in front of multiple houses, parked so that 2 cars cannot pass each other down the middle of the street. That was a good one. There was 5 cars in 6 units on both sides of the street, and a guy coming the other way couldn't get past me. So saying that, oh, well, we're not going to have any street parking, there'll be plenty of street parking. The people that live in these cul-de-sacs are going to park in your visitor parking. They're not going to park in their driveway, they're going to park out front. You're creating a 2-tier system besides that. You've got public street on the main right-of-way on August Manor Drive, and you're creating 3 private streets. You're asking for the people paying into your HOA to maintain private streets that they are never going to drive on, that they are never going to use. The first generation, you'll probably get away with it. Once you guys are built out, gone down the road and collected your profits, okay, these folks are gonna be coming in on the cul-de-sacs going, how come we're not getting paved by the town? How come there's so much, there's so many people parking in our parking places? Okay, these people over here are gonna say, what am I paying for the maintenance of their street? I live on a public street. So a two-tier system is not gonna work. I think you really need to rethink this entire subdivision, the way it's designed. It's not in keeping with what's north of you. There's a cul-de-sac, going up Morton Street. If you go off to the east, there's a cul-de-sac about the same size as the one you're gonna do here that you have 10 units in, and it has 3 houses in the same measurement footage as this. I'm only one vote. If it was me, I would make a motion to continue this for another month, let you go back and look at this. To be honest with you, as it stands, I'm not for this subdivision, not the way it's designed. There is a better design. You've only got one method of ingress and egress. You've got one entrance, okay? That entrance becomes blocked. Nobody gets in and out, no ambulance, no fire engine, no any kind of emergency can get into the subdivision if that single entrance becomes blocked. Same thing with your cul-de-sacs. You block that cul-de-sac off, nobody can get in or out of there. The cul-de-sac that I referred to that's to the north of you actually goes off to the street, but you can get into the cul-de-sac from 2 directions, okay? This one you can't. So, I don't know what changed from when Gary first pitched this a year and a half ago, but something went sideways with the design of this subdivision that just, honestly, it doesn't work. And you can say all day long, oh yeah, we'll prohibit street parking, we'll put up signage and everything else. Here's the proof is the pudding. You know, there's car after car parked and nobody's in the driveway. They're not, it isn't like it's, there's 2 cars in the driveway and 1 in the street. There's just nobody in the driveway, and they're parking in the street anyway. There has to be a better way to do this, and still let you maximize your profits. But right now, it's like you're trying to stick 10 pounds of potatoes in a 5-pound bag. You know, when you walk up around Foxmore's retention pond up here, where that north area is, it is incredibly wet up there. Because if you look at the topography of the land, from the old parking lot where the country club used to be, you walk out over the grass and it drops down significantly. Now, you can fill it up, you can rip-wrap it, you can do what you want, but I don't foresee this maintaining a good dry footprint to the back of these houses. So, I don't know what else, you know, how else I can say it. I just am not for this subdivision as it stands.
Thank you.
Finished?
I'm done.
Mr. Pettit? Comments?
Didn't I ask a while back about this cul-de-sac to the east that it needed to connect to a road?
Mm-hmm.
All right, number one, let's back up a second. Joe, with this being a PUD, is there any need to, if we were to approve this design as is, as Brian alluded to, August Manor is one way in only. It's an extremely long cul-de-sac that goes against the subdivision control ordinance. Since we're doing a PUD, he doesn't need to go to the BZA for that developmental standard, does he?
No.
No? All right. But being devil's advocate, ladies and gentlemen, and Margie, this is your neck of the woods, not
I know.
mine. Clark Street to the north Clark is a very long cul-de-sac
Right.
that we approved. And not making the connection, I totally agree with Brian, and we've always said that, and my subdivision is a glaring example. I have one entrance into the preserve, with 132 houses out there. And again, you get blocked, you know, you're out of luck getting an emergency vehicle in, or if an emergency vehicle is in there in the first couple homes, how do you get back there? Same thing with this. I don't know. You know, when we started this thing a long time ago, sir, this parcel of land was supposed to be developed commercially. We were told by the developers, you know, when they closed the country club, we were gonna see a strip mall in there, or a couple of boxes, retail boxes in there.
Right.
This is an unusual size piece of land. As I always say, I defer to the ward councilman. She's got to answer her constituents.
Right.
But we have to think about what's good for the good of the town, so,
Well, I've been in limbo on that one-way entrance.
yeah.
I don't know if we could even do anything.
Well, and
about
we
that.
talked about that a long time ago too, when Richard Anderson brought in the duplexes, and
Yes.
we went into the MCD service area instead of IHCD. We talked about the potential of a stoplight there.
Definitely.
Would it be warranted with the traffic and the development that's happening out there, both in the single family and in the duplexes? So I don't know that solves, the one entrance in there.
Sean, if I could jump in real quick, if you look at the map, the overhead satellite view
Yeah, I
of
called
this,
it up on my phone.
all of those streets, they are long cul-de-sacs, but they all come to a stub to be tied into something else later. Every one is set up to be tied into something else later. And you mentioned the ingress egress from the entire subdivision. My final picture, and I showed it to Jeff earlier, my final picture was as I was trying to leave, there were 3 cars trying to turn from the eastbound lane of 30, coming from Merrillville off the hill. 3 cars trying to turn in. There was 2 cars in the median trying to turn left to go eastbound. I'm on the north side of the road, and there was 4 cars backed up before me, and it was 5 o'clock at night on a Tuesday night. There wasn't a lot of traffic. But they still couldn't get out because of the traffic on 30.
Now, the issue with parking on the street, I have it in my I had it last night in my cul-de-sac. I was inches away from calling the police and having my next door neighbor's son's girlfriend's car ticketed because I don't get my mail, and I've got a street light in my cul-de-sac, says no parking in the cul-de-sac. They still park in the cul-de-sac. We need enforcement. I mean, if these people are gonna park on August Manor, the residents would have to call the police department, and we would have to post no parking signs.
Well, we're going to
To
have to
enforce it.
review our ordinances because we do not have an ordinance say you cannot park by the mailbox. When I
Or
was
they do
on that
expanded, or they do
committee,
expanded road, or they do an expanded roadway.
Exactly, make it wider. There you go.
they could make the road wider.
So again, it's
something
plan
like
unit
that.
development, it's something, it's a give
No,
and take, I agree with that.
I tend to agree with Brian and Sean. I gave it a lot of thought. I drove through there. Like Sean said, I'm right next door to it. It's in my ward. And I think there could be a lot of adjustments made at this time. But anyway, let me ask Jeff. Jeff, what is your comment or question?
Joe kind of beat me to it. I think an expanded roadway would
street?
help out a lot here.
Yeah, the roadway.
I mean, I'm not an expert, I'm not an engineer, but I would also defer to you, Marge. I know it's your area,
Right.
but I would also like to know what your response be to what's been said so far.
I think I'm just here to listen and really hear what your vote is. I have no ability to persuade you to think otherwise. You could widen the roadway. I suppose that would be possible. Would that satisfy the town so that this project would be approved?
Here's the thing, what I'd like to do right now, instead of coming back and forth 10,000 times, you hear what's being said tonight. You incorporate the best you can into the concerns, because we've not incorporated fully, I think, the concerns of what was brought up before. If we can incorporate the concerns of maybe a widened roadway, so we can make sure that emergency vehicles and such can get through, and we can go ahead and do some even more increased parking than what you've done to satisfy this board, that may be the way to go. So I guess at this time, what I'm gonna say is, and I know you don't wanna hear it, but I'm gonna say it anyways, right, at this time, we're gonna defer, and we're gonna have you back in 30 days, and you can come up with a revised plan on this, so that we can hopefully get something going. Because after we approve the preliminary, the horse is out of the barn. So we need to get things right at this initial phase before we continue on down the road.
Well, Chris and I both live in that ward, and we both drove around, checked it out. We have a lot of building coming up in our ward with Creekwood crossings too. I have to agree with our attorney, with Brian, and with Mr. Pettit and the board. I think the best thing for you to do is come back in 30 days and look into all of our questions, the street, the widening of the street, the parking on the streets. And I think maybe in 30 days, you'll have answers for us, and we'll have questions for you with your answers. How's that, board members? Do
Outstanding.
you all agree? Everybody agrees to it?
Well, Marge, and not to take up too much more time,
Right.
this original subdivision, which was pitched back in '07 and '08, before the economic downturn, was one cohesive subdivision. When the downturn happened, the original owners or developers went bankrupt. The bank took it over, and they've sold it off piecemeal over the last 14 years, okay? We need to try and keep the cohesiveness that was the original intent of building this subdivision. Not that you have to build every house the same, every road the same, but try and keep it cohesive to the rest of the area. When you see a cul-de-sac with a much wider footprint that you can get into from a couple of directions, take a clue from that, and try and incorporate it into your design here. I would hate to see it get voted down tonight if you wanted to get us to a vote, because then you're stuck for 2 years, okay? If at this point we are able to table it, you're able to tweak this design to meet what everybody's saying, it would be fantastic. It isn't that we would be against this subdivision. We were for a subdivision there when Gary came in here, like I say, a year and a half ago. And I'm still for a subdivision going in there, this one just doesn't work for me.
Sheila, my question to you is, on these cul-de-sacs, has Chief Yurga approved the turning radius regarding the fire
turning
trucks?
radius, we talked about it with the chief, also with our new fire inspector. The turning radius is fine. It's
Well, the turning radius is fine as long as there's no cars parked in the cul-de-sac.
Right, because that's what they do, they do it off the
Right,
plan.
because-
They don't do it
because
with
the
cars.
problem is, if we anticipate people parking in the cul-de-sac not having enough parking,
Yeah.
then we block up the artery,
Yeah.
then we have problems. So,
Robert, did you do any type of traffic control with these cars coming and going?
I don't think any traffic study was performed for this specific
Because from
project.
what Brian is saying, cars are coming and going, they can't get through, so maybe we should have a little traffic study with the
Well,
parking and the widening of the streets.
Madam Chairman, another question for the petitioner is Outlot A and Outlot B. And Matt's not here, so I guess I'd turn to Bob. Does he need all of Outlot B, Bob? Or are there environmental or soil conditions that would not permit you to further develop that?
Yeah, Outlot B is the southern portion, or the southern two-thirds of Outlot B is the neighborhood detention pond. And then the northern one-third running east to west is Turkey Creek. So that's unusable. It's a wooded channel stream.
What about Outlot A?
Outlot A is a town park, open space and wetland. That pond area and the areas surrounding it are wetland and floodplain. So, and also dedicated town park that connect to the trail system.
And I agree with that, Sean.
Well, it looks like we have some turmoil here with all of this. All I could say is, how does each board member feel about deferring it for 30 days? Mr. Rich?
I think the board pretty much seems all on board.
Yeah.
For that. My question to you, would you be fine with the deferment for 30 days?
I cannot accomplish what you're asking within 30 days.
All right, I'll make a motion for deferment for 30 days.
I don't know if
I
you
will
heard me.
second
I just
that.
said I cannot because I would have to go back with Robinson. I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. I just can't do what you're asking in 30 days. But that's fine. I mean, can we have a deferment for a future
Well,
date?
then, hold on. How long do you need
Right.
to bring the concerns
Yeah. We
at
can make
least
it longer.
consider the concerns of
Yeah.
this planning commission. How long do you need for that? Because if I'm gonna set a 30-day time limit and that's not achievable, I wanna set an achievable limit. So if you need 45, 60, 90, 120, let me know.
Probably 90 or 120 days.
Okay.
Because,
I'll make a deferment for 120 days. If he's done earlier, we can address it at that time.
Well,
I will second that.
he can, what he can do is he can submit
Sure.
a request to the plan administrator to go ahead and get on the agenda sooner.
But I guess the question for him, the guidance for him, ladies and gentlemen, is Brian alluded to it, you're trying to put a size 6 foot in a size 5 shoe. Are you or the owner willing to cut down on the number of lots and spread some stuff out? As we alluded to, a wider street means he's gonna have to adjust the lot dimension.
Well, I think that's why he's going with 120 days.
Yeah.
To talk with ownership, to consider the suggestions of this body tonight, and then try to incorporate the best he can
Okay.
into a plan that would be amenable not only to ownership, but to this body.
Okay.
I think that's what I'm hearing, correct?
yeah, I mean, I'm certainly not in a position, I'm hired by the owner, but I'm not in a position to speak on their behalf with regard to moving forward with this development. Widening the roadway would mean shorter driveways. I mean, there are a number of issues we would have to consider. And, you know, another opportunity to work with Robinson Engineering to make sure that our plans are consistent with their standards, so there would be some back and forth there.
Well, and you can ask for a copy of the recording that's being made tonight, so that you can hear everybody's concerns that have been brought up. One of the most notable ones is you've got 3 private cul-de-sacs, 3 privately maintained cul-de-sacs for snow plowing, for debris removal, not just trash, weekly trash removal, but debris removal, trees, leaves, everything else, as well as snow plowing, as well as repair of the road. And you're gonna ask everybody else in the subdivision through their HOA dues to maintain those 3. I think either you need to make the whole thing private, you need to make the whole thing public. And when you make the whole thing public, you gotta find a way to make those cul-de-sacs work out to public standards and build them to public specifications.
Thank you.
Well, Madam President, we have a motion on the floor, and these are.
Yep.
Is there a second?
I seconded it.
Okay.
Okay.
Actually,
Do we have
I'll
to take a
second it.
roll call vote?
Yeah, Rick's got a
Rick's
second,
gonna
Chair
second.
can't second.
Chair can second.
Oh, I thought the chair could
Rick's-
yeah, you
second.
can't second.
Okay, do we need a roll call vote with that motion?
I'd say
I
so.
would.
Okay, we will have a roll call vote, Mr. Secretary.
All right, hang on, I got my little chart here so I keep track of things. Mr. Rich?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Mr. Holtz?
Yes.
Mr. Mellon?
Yes.
Mr. Pettit?
Yes.
I am a yes. Mr. Deering?
Yes?
Madam President,
Yes,
we have 6 yeses.
okay, we have 6.
I cannot add all night. We have 7 yeses. Oh,
So
my
we are
sinuses are.
deferring it, what, to 90 days? did you say?
120 days, but if the
120
petitioner,
days.
if the petitioner wants to come sooner, they can certainly send correspondence to the plan administrator.
Good.
We can hopefully achieve their goal of getting on there.
And one more item. I would like for you to look into the street lighting. Are they going to have a street light on every block or on just the cul-de-sacs? Please look into that because some of our streets in our subdivisions, they're very dark. So I hope you could do something about that.
Thank you.
Okay? Thank you for attending. We'll see you in 120 days.
Joe cracked my knuckles with a ruler right there like an old bug.
No, we need the widening of the streets with all these cars, they don't know where to park. Okay, gentlemen, going on with new business, item 2, P3Z2-0422, TMG acquisition disposition
1.
on LLC petitioner Wadam Abdab and Wasim Atasi as trustee of Atasi Revocable, located at 9327 Broadway. Request zone change from C2 Community Commercial Zoning District to Commercial Industrial Special District on 4.50 acres. Purpose, speculative, commercial, or industrial use. someone here. Would you identify yourself, please? And I'm assuming that's a revocable trust we're talking about? Correct?
I think so.
Revocable trust?
Well, it says revocable, not irrevocable, so it's
Then
gotta
that-
be revocable trust. I'm just wanting,
Yes,
Your
yes, Madam
statement.
President.
okay.
And good evening, Edward Adler from the Misner Group.
Who is the lawyer here
For
for this?
the seller,
Yes,
I would have to check off the top of my head. I don't remember.
okay, thank you.
Edward Adler from the Misner Group. Thank you for seeing us again. I don't think we need to go through all of it unless you have further questions, but it's for the rezone of the completion of the 87 acres for the zoning for CSI zoning.
CIS zoning, you mean?
CIS zoning.
Yes, thank you.
For some reason, I was confused, the ISI, or I watch too much TV.
Staff report, please. Sheila?
Petitioner is requesting a zone change from C2 Community Commercial Zoning District to a CIS Commercial Industrial Special Zoning District on 4.50 acres located at 9327 Broadway for a speculative commercial or industrial use. 21-107B1 of the Commercial Industrial Special Zoning District requires a minimum land use area of 100 acres for the designation of an individual commercial industrial special district. Petitioner will be on the April 27, 22 Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for variance from developmental standards.
Thank you. Mr. Rich, you have questions or comments?
Nothing at this time.
Mr. Holtz?
If we approve it, does it really I know you wanted to put pods there.
I didn't know if this was the right forum to address that, but I have addressed some of the questions from our workshop meeting and have a schematic as it related to the screening, but I wasn't sure this was the right forum, and again, we are not committed to that site. If the board wasn't for it, we could put it on the Mississippi site that we own, but that's up to you guys. If it's something that you'd like to talk about for a few minutes tonight, I'm prepared to do that. If not, I'm happy to come back and discuss some of the concerns that you had as it related to the pods deal on that particular site.
Mr. Mallon?
Nothing at this time.
Brian?
I think that this is just basically the zone change.
It's a zone change.
For whatever goes there. The pod question can be answered down the road. All we're doing is cleaning up a piece of property, making it commercial industrial. And I think you said last time, Eddie, that this is the last parcel of that entire northern area, which would be right there behind Ace Hardware.
Yes,
And then it would tie in.
That's correct.
The entire area there to the commercial industrial special zoning district.
that's correct.
I'm good.
Thank you. Sean?
No questions. I know all about it all too well.
Sure. Sean knows all. And
Joe
Jeff?
and I live it every day out there,
I know you do.
the
Jeff?
neighborhood.
Nothing.
Nothing? Well, it seems like everything's in order for a zone change if the board wants to make a motion.
I'll make a motion, Madam President.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor and a second for the zone change. Do I need a roll call vote on that, council?
Definitely.
Okay,
Mr.
We'll
Rich?
take a roll
Yes.
call vote, Jeff?
Sorry, I skipped you. I apologize, Madam President.
Oh,
Mr. Holtz?
Yes.
Mr. Mellon?
Yes.
Mr. Pettit?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Mr. Deering?
Yes.
Madam President?
Yes.
Guess how many yeses we have, ma'am?
Seven?
While we,
Six.
Madam President, while we have Eddie at the microphone, let's go ahead and talk about this, because I've asked for the Plan Commission's input. This is obviously my ward. He's got two locations. I like your signs out on Broadway in Mississippi, by the way. Those look nice.
Oh, thank you. I can't say that I've even seen them yet, so.
I've been back and forth on this. I kind of looked at the meeting minutes and looked back to Jeff's comments 2 weeks ago, Eddie, about the Broadway corridor. You know, what is it the town wants to see on the Broadway corridor south of Ace? This is gonna be south of Ace Hardware with Broadway frontage. You know, I was a little leery, with the residential in my neighborhood, but looking at the NIPSCO High Line, there's a 150-foot wide right-of-way or easement, and then your property starts.
I think it's
There are-
80 feet, Sean.
Only
but
80?
I think so.
Okay.
I'd have to double check, but I'm not
But
positive.
it's, yeah, I guess it's substantial enough.
It
if-
is.
I guess my preference as a councilman is you and I and Sheila and Steve work together. We berm that thing, if you've got the space in there, and get the arborvitae on the top of the berm to shield the neighbors, my neighbors to the north of you, south in my neighborhood. I guess my preference would be to have it on Mississippi, and then you market this last 4.5 acres, accordingly to, you know, what we talked about, would be my preference. Having listened to my colleagues, thinking about it, I spoke with Mr. Svetnoff about it, that would be my preference. If that gives you, guidance, okay?
Sure.
I don't know, unless any other planning commission members want to chime in.
Does that sound logical to you, what Mr. Pettit said?
Absolutely. We would have been
Support.
prepared on either site. I just, like I said, we had listened to some of the concerns of the board and addressed them. It's, if we're able to make the deal, we're happy to make it on either site.
I think they're amenable to alternate sites, so as long as one of the two is approved, I don't think the developer's gonna have a problem.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah, and I would put a caveat on that, Eddie. If Potts comes back and says, no, we really want Broadway frontage, again, you and Sheila and I and Steve maybe sit back down. He did show a schematic that he showed me in an email where he has shrunk down the storage, so the building blocks more of the storage from Broadway. Let's see what they say.
Well, just so you know, what they actually did is the building didn't shrink down. It's the same 55,000 square feet, but we've had it designed with a great deal of landscaping, and what they've done is they've put up, or what we would do is we would put up precast walls that cover the sight lines, that go up 24 feet, which is the full height of the outside storage containers. So they couldn't be seen from any sight line at all between the two walls
So
and,
it'd be walls, but it'd be uncovered,
yes,
but it would cover up the storage pods.
because there'd be extensive landscaping and screening as well. But from the Broadway side and on each side of the building,
Yeah.
you'd actually have precast walls that go up. We have a site plan that was prepared with that, if I could pass that out. Again, we're happy to do it on the Mississippi site, because Pods is okay with that if we're able to make that deal,
Well,
so.
I think right now, probably what we should do is we're gonna potentially approve the zone change, or we've approved the zone change.
Okay,
What you should do is probably go to staff, Ward Councilman Pettit, and just discuss this further.
Fine.
And then we can make a decision from there, and always revisit Mississippi versus Broadway.
that's fine.
See what they say.
That's
Yeah.
fine. And so, Sean, on that berm, just on the berm, because we talked about it in our engineering meeting today, that's gonna, NIPSCO's gonna chime in on that in terms of their access to those power lines.
Right.
So, whether we can berm it 5 feet, 10 feet, I mean, there's gonna be some limitation.
Right.
Obviously, we'll do on that site, we'll do everything we can to screen it as most we can, but we're not the final
Again,
say-so.
NIPSCO's a pretty good partner, though, with the towns.
And they have been, we're dealing with them on this site too in terms of some underground easements. They're great, but access is still access, so
Got you.
I just want to point that out, that we just can't, do anything
Go
we
up
want to
the
do.
sky, and-
That's all. Anyway,
All right.
thank you for I appreciate it.
Sure, well, you got the zone change, and I'm sure you will be
Mission accomplished.
communicating.
Yes, mission accomplished.
Pettit
He'll come to the council for you,
And the-
Jeff and I.
and the council too, so I hope everything falls in place.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for attending.
Okay.
Continuing on with our agenda, item 3, P4FS1-0422, CVP Development Company petitioner and owner, located at south of the intersection of 86th and Madison, final subdivision approval on 7.94 acres in a R3 residential zoning district. Purpose, residential duplexes. Hello.
Good
State your
evening.
name.
Hi, my name is Glenn Boren. I'm a land surveyor over at DVG Team Inc. And I'm here on behalf of CVP Development for the final plat approval for the villas on Madison and Hunters Glen. Nothing has changed really from the study session. It's still 11 lots, both all duplex lots, plenty of parking that you can get out there, and really nothing's changed since the last time, since the study session.
And again, we're on a final subdivision.
Final subdivision
Yes.
plat, yep, we're gearing up for the construction, the road's going in. We should be getting close to getting our bond amounts, and so upon final approval of the plat, we would come in with our bonds and seek signatures to get the Mylar recorded to create the lots.
Sheila, do you have a staff report?
Petitioner is requesting final subdivision approval and final plat approval for residential duplexes to be located south of intersection and 86 of Madison on 7.94 acres in the R3 residential zoning district. Proposed development will be known as the Villas on Madison and Hunters Glen. The proposed development will be served with sanitary sewers, curbs, gutters, and streets, common water, storm sewers, and street lights. Petitioner has received stormwater permit and has received approval from Robinson Engineer.
Okay, Mr. Rich, any questions or comments? Mr. Holtz?
No.
Mr. Miller?
Nothing.
Brian?
Nothing from me.
Nothing? Sean?
Nope.
Jeff? Oh, seems like everybody likes what you have here. Did you already go in front of the sanitary sewer?
The MCD,
Yeah.
it's actually installed, we just have to supply them with our as-built.
Okay. How many lights do you plan on putting in that?
I don't have the engineering plans in front of me, but I think there's 3, maybe 2.
How many?
I don't have the engineering plans in front of me,
Oh,
I don't know.
But the engineering plans conform to the ordinance.
They do, and they've been approved.
They do? Okay,
Motion
Just
to
so-
approve.
I didn't finish.
Sorry.
It's all right. Just so the subdivision is not completely dark.
No,
Okay.
it's not good
All
for
right,
anybody.
Brian.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve P4FS1-0422.
Motion on the floor by Mr. Brian Daring for P4FS1-0422. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Mellon. With that, do we need a roll call vote too?
Sure, take a roll call vote.
Okay, Mr. Jeff, take a roll call.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Holtz?
Yes.
Mr. Mellon?
Yes.
Mr. Pettit?
Yes.
I am a yes. Mr. Deering?
Yes?
Madam President,
Yes,
7 yeses.
7 yeses, motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you for attending.
Thanks, guys.
If
Okay,
we,
Madam-
Madam President, on the heels of this petition, I have a question for Bob. Or did Bob leave?
No, I'm right here. I was just leaning backwards.
Okay. Bob, what's the status, have you talked to Councilman Bello, what's the status of 86th Avenue from Merrillville Road to Broadway? In Craig's development?
We had some issues with the Army Corps, and I believe those are getting resolved.
Okay.
So we are about 98% done with the plans. We're just tweaking up a couple of things, and we should be good to go.
Well,
Okay, so it's still the intention to punch it through
Yes.
Broadway to Merrillville Road?
let me tell
Absolutely.
you what, though, if the Army Corps is involved, it will take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
And it has. That's what the whole
Take a lot of
process
time.
has been delayed,
The
is
Army
because of
Corps.
them, and
Okay.
things
I
are
can see that.
are looking favorable.
Oh, okay.
There's some
2
comp
days.
storage that I've been in
Yeah.
contact with Steve, so he's aware there's gonna
What
be,
about right away
everything's,
to the east of Craig's development? We have everything in
yeah,
place?
everything's,
'Cause I know when you brought this in, Craig, we've always talked about having 86 go through. I just want to make sure that it's moving along.
yeah, that's the plan. I mean, the holdup has been, but we're moving forward, and
Okay.
And if it's a federal, problem, then that's at a whole different level, and we'll
Yeah.
have to abide by the Army Corps of Engineers
Yeah.
Yes.
review and standards.
And as I stated, there's a comp storage fee that Steve's aware of, that the town will have to subsidize, and it's actually less than we originally thought, so we're finalizing all of that now. But that roadway will go through.
Yeah, because
Yes.
there was equipment out there, there was people working out there, and then all of a sudden it was like an abrupt halt. And there's still equipment out there.
Is that your study?
That's Craig's equipment.
Curbs went in yesterday, and Milestone was gonna get the binder down as soon as weather was cooperating.
Excellent.
And that's not part of 86. That's his subdivision
Okay,
that you
well,
see the
yeah, I
equipment.
seen it on there, I wasn't sure if it was or not.
All right.
Good enough.
Well, we have a motion on the floor and a second on the floor.
It's already been approved.
We already approved.
Yep.
To approve, I'm sorry. I'm listening to all of this equipment, but anyway, good luck.
Thanks, guys.
Sean, everything is okay with you? And this is Mr. Bella's word. Did he
Yes.
talk to Rick about this?
We have talked in the past.
Yeah. I think
Oh,
so.
okay.
Yeah.
He's in favor of everything so far? Good. All right, continuing on with the agenda. Item 4, P5Z3-0422. Alps Enterprise LLC petitioner and Lake County Trust Company, trust number 136, located at 8727 Whitcomb Street and 8730 Whitcomb Street. A request zone change from R1, residential zoning district, and A1, agricultural zoning district, to R2, residential zoning district, and R3, residential zoning district. Purpose, residential subdivision. Now, I believe this has been deferred. Mr. Paul has talked to Sheila, I think, am I correct?
Yes, I talked with Doug Reddick, who
Okay,
said
he
that his
still wants-
client would like to defer until they have the town meeting with Randy Hall to discuss what we talked about at the last plan commission meeting.
How to fix it.
Well, he wanted a traffic study, or we did, right?
Yes, we're
With
we're
that
in the
curve.
process of
Well,
getting a,
That curve on Whitcomb.
Well, and I think
Traffic
it's
study.
how to fix the entire corridor from
Yeah.
Route 30 out to the turn, so.
Well, I'm sure he understands what he has to do, so. He talked with you, Sheila, and did he give a time?
Oh, yeah.
When he wanted to come back, or when he thought he would be ready?
no.
I know we talked about having a representative from the plan commission, both developers from that area and whoever from the town, just kind of sit down and kind of butt heads and see what we can or can't do, collectively.
Yeah, but remember, Margin, Steve, or Jeff, we got that, there's an RFP that Steve prepared for an engineering traffic study
Yes.
for that corridor
Matt-
that he gave
Matt
us at the
prepared-
last council meeting.
I think Matt prepared it,
Did
actually.
Matt prepare it? Yeah,
Not prepared.
so we're waiting on that, so once we
Okay.
have that,
And once that study comes in, I'll send word out and see if we can get everybody together for a little.
Well, why don't we reset this for 30 days? We'll revisit it in 30 days, see if we have the traffic study back yet, if we're able to sit down. We'll just
Yeah,
keep
that's-
resetting it for 30 days. We'll just keep it on the agenda.
How many, just a quick question, how many lots for Mr. Paul's subdivision and how many residential units are there in Randy's? Approximate,
Paul's was
just
like-
an approximate,
was 110 and 164.
110 and 164, and
I don't
then,
know what range is that.
yeah.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to accept deferment and give them a 30-day extension.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Jeff, second by Sean, for a deferment of 30 days. Sheila, I wanted to ask you a question. Did he give you a time element on when he thought he'd be ready, Mr. Paul?
No, all of it is contingent upon the study and the street and the meeting.
Status of
One of the
Whitcomb
problems
Street.
is we floated out in our request for qualifications on a traffic study right now. So we're waiting response from that. Then when
Before
we get
he-
response from that, we have to actually get the study.
Yep.
Then we have to actually sit down with the developers or developer and say, here's the study.
Developers.
What do we propose, or, give and take?
It is plural.
Well, and I think if you're looking at, close to 300 units on Mr. Paul, we're looking at probably 400 with the apartment building. From Mr. Paul, and then 400 from Randy's. I mean, we could be putting another 1,000 cars, potentially,
Sure.
coming out of those two subdivisions, wanting to go up to Route 30 or go out to Crown Point.
if
For my
I'm,
money, that needs to be a 4-lane
if
street.
I'm a betting
Definitely.
man, Margie, you and Jeff and I and the other two members of the RDC, we're going to end up doing a large project on Whitcomb Street with participation financially
Sure.
from both Mr. Hall and Mr. Paul. What RDC ain't gonna eat it all, then they're gonna benefit from selling these lots. I mean, we have existing conditions, especially BRS Industrial Park, and just people on the west side of town cutting through to go to the county or go wherever they're going, we gotta respond to. But we can't be approving these two subdivisions and not have them participate. I hate to tell Randy and Mr. Paul that. That's
Right.
It's a three-way dance. We're
Yeah.
just gonna make it pretty
A dance?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's a
Oh, this
dance?
is gonna be a dance.
But that would be a monumental
FYI,
undertaking
Jeff,
to
a
improve
slow
that whole
dance
thing.
or a
Yeah, it
fast
will.
one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We gotta watch those fast cars
I'm
on
getting older, I
Whitcomb
can't move like I
Street.
used to.
I'm very
And
used to that
FYI,
Whitcomb
Madam
Street.
President, I filled a phone call from the planner of Sherrville because you know all of those, this Alps, Mr. Alps is gonna butt up against Sherrville.
Sure.
Yep.
So she wants to, have a talk too, so
Well,
it's, yeah.
Well,
is
it's
it in-
like
is it-
Sean
hold on,
said.
hold on.
I'm
Is it in
sorry.
our jurisdiction?
Yeah.
It's in our jurisdiction.
Yeah, but, yeah. I'm just saying they'll
attorney
probably
call
be
my-
out at the meeting, that's why, because most of the mailers will go to them.
Yeah, I know.
Who's our attorney, Joe?
Yes, we do.
Dave Austin,
Yep.
Oh, Dave Austin? Oh, he likes
my
you.
old friend.
He likes you.
Oh, he loves me.
Oh, he loves me too.
Okay, we still have a
But
motion.
anyway, it seems like we have a motion and a second on the floor. And what are we doing?
Well, no,
with
we
this?
don't
We're
have a
gonna
motion.
wait?
This was requested by the petitioner to defer.
The motion was to
Oh, I'm
accept their
sorry,
deferment.
yeah.
Ah, thank you.
The
Mr.
motion was to
Paul.
accept the deferment and give them a
Right.
30-day
Gotcha.
extension.
And who seconded it?
I did.
Okay, motion and second to defer after we have a complete traffic study and everybody sits down and they review it, then we will know where we're at. Does that sound good, gentlemen?
Sounds great.
Okay, thank you. All right, now we need a motion to adjourn.
No, we need
Yeah,
to
vote on it.
vote on it.
Oh, vote on it. Oh, I'm just so used to taking motions and that's it. Okay, we will take a vote. I always just take a motion in a second.
That's okay.
But go on.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Holtz?
Yes.
Mr. Mellon?
Yes.
Mr. Deering?
Yes.
Madam President?
Yes.
Mr. Pettit?
Yes.
Me, yes.
7 yeses. So the motion is approved for deferment. Correct, gentlemen?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Meeting is adjourned at approximately, 7:25.
That was a quick
Hey,
one.
Sheila,
We did very good.
is the plan director